as well. Laporte for the team from Manchester clips the ball down the left-hand channel. It's one for Gundogan to chase. Alderweireld's across to hook clear for Spurs. And a hopeful ball back forward from João Cancelo will drift harmlessly out of play for a goal kick. Pep Guardiola has dominated this competition since arriving at City. Looking for their fourth victory in a row. It was actually a competition they liked even before Guardiola's arrival. They have won it in every year bar two since 2014. It just underlines how dominant they have been in the Carabao Cup as Riyad Mahrez loses out in the middle of the park to Heung-min Son. That's a loose ball back though from Son. He's presented it straight to Raheem Sterling, and this could be a chance for Manchester City, but that's a good challenge back from Serge Aurier to pick Sterling's pocket. Perhaps Raheem Sterling just took a little bit long to make his mind up. A huge sigh of relief for Heung-min Son, who'll be thanking Serge Aurier for bailing him out of trouble. Sterling was looking to cut in from the left onto his right foot as he made his way into the penalty area. And because he crossed the 18-yard box, it was a challenge that Serge Aurier couldn't afford to get wrong. And he just poked in on the blind side of Sterling and was able to get an important toe on the ball. As Harry Kane gets just about his first touch in the match for Spurs, but can't quite link up with Aurier down the right-hand side. A lot of eyes will, of course, be on Kane and Kevin De Bruyne with those respective ankle issues. As I mentioned with City, because that big game against PSG is to come on Wednesday, you'd imagine if De Bruyne wasn't 100% fit, then he wouldn't have been in the starting 11 today. With Kane and this being such a big game for Tottenham, it may be a case of he's been rushed back, but only time will tell. The man himself has said he is fit, which is why Ryan Mason has included him in his starting 11. We'll see how things go as Kane is looking okay there as he closes down Aymeric Laporte, forcing the City defender back to his goalkeeper, Zach Steffen, the American, the domestic cup goalkeeper for Manchester City this season. Pep Guardiola has kept faith with him despite it being such a big game in the final. Henderson taking his place on the bench, the regular number one. As Diaz works out to Walker on the right-hand side for Manchester City. He ventures forward, tries to release Mahrez down the channel, but there's a bit too much on the pass there from Kyle Walker, and that'll just run out of play for a goal kick. 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes have been played. Still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0 in the 2021 Carabao Cup final. City dominating the early ball, but in truth the match not quite settling down as of yet. Two sets of players will be getting used to be playing in front of supporters again as well. Just 8,000 of course, but still when you're used to playing in front of next to no one, that will feel like almost a crowd of 80,000 you would imagine for these players. Eric Dyer, one of the survivors from Spurs' last Carabao Cup final appearance in 2015. He and Toby Alderweireld. 6-yard box and Phil Foden diverts it wide of the target. It was lovely skill from Raheem Sterling. Serge Aurier, after a couple of minutes ago, making a really important challenge on Sterling. Did not look comfortable there. Sterling twisted him inside and out. That will be a confidence boost for Raheem Sterling. He fizzed it into Foden, who just tried to flick it instinctively with his left boot towards goal. He was slightly beyond the front post, though, when he did so he was always going to find it difficult with Eric Dyer really up close against him to wrap his foot round it and get it on target, and so that proved. The first opportunity of note of the game comes the way of Phil Foden, who's now charged down Toby Alderweireld and could be able to create another chance for Man City down the left. Sterling, De Bruyne, Mahrez all making up ground in the middle. Foden chooses to go short though to Gundogan, now back with Fernandinho. He clips it over the top. Foden's continued his run, volleys it across the edge of the 6-yard box. It will come to Mahrez on the far side. He's closed down, pulls it back for Walker. Now Riyad Mahrez once more, dinks the ball in with his left foot. Sterling flicks it towards goal under pressure from Alderweireld, and it goes wide for a goal kick. But Manchester City there going through the gears for the first time in the game. Still goalless in the 2021 Carabao Cup final between Manchester City and Tottenham. Not surprising though to see that City have settled the better of the two sides and have created a couple of half opportunities. First of all, down the left-hand side, Raheem Sterling turned Serge Aurier inside out before fizzing the ball into the 6-yard box. Phil Foden was there, but he couldn't quite divert his effort on target. Then a few minutes later, Foden was involved in the build-up play. Riyad Mahrez eventually crossed into the box, and Sterling, under pressure from Toby Alderweireld, couldn't quite guide his header on target. But City on top at the moment, but it remains 0-0. Yeah, difficult chance that was for Raheem Sterling, incidentally, under real pressure from Alderweireld. Took a bit of a whack as well as he was challenging for the ball, it would seem. Which is why he couldn't quite find the target, but promising start, as I say, from City, who it is unsurprising that they are absolutely monopolising the ball at the moment in these opening exchanges. As it stands, Tottenham defensively standing strong, and Ryan Mason would have told that to his players. Make it through those first 10 minutes, then the first 20. Keep it at 0-0 as long as you can, because he knows they have the quality going forward to hurt Manchester City. And Spurs do have a pretty decent record against City as well. It has to be said. When the meeting between the two sides earlier in the season, the first meeting of the campaign, City won the most recent clash. So I'm just looking at the statistic on my screen. The first half action areas so far, 33% inside Tottenham's final third, 66% in the middle. Those of you who are good at maths will be able to tell me that only 1% has been played in Manchester City's defensive third so far. That tells you exactly all you need to know about how the opening to this game has panned out. But it is still 0-0. City have a free kick in the centre circle. Fernandinho takes it short to Ilkay Gundogan. Swept out to Cancelo on the left-hand side. Gundogan once more. Harry Kane, the first block of defence for Spurs, as Fernandinho floats a lovely ball out to Mahrez on the right-hand side. He's supported by Walker. Good challenge, though, from Reguilon to divert the ball away from Walker, but he won't prevent the corner kick from being won, sorry. That's right in front of the City supporters over on that far side, and they're particularly pleased with the way their side have started this game. 10.5 minutes on the clock. Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. Diaz and Laporte making their way forward from the back. Mahrez is the man standing over the corner. Gundogan is a short option, but Spurs are alive to that, so you'd imagine Mahrez is going to look to swing this into a rather congested looking 6-yard box, and he does, and he forces Lloris to claw it away at his far post. Hugo Lloris, just for a moment, looked like he might be losing his bearings, but he did well in the end. Sterling now takes on Reguilon. He's into the penalty area. Lucas Moura comes across, though, and that's really, really good defensive play from Lucas Moura. Recognised his teammate was in danger, stepped in, and, he's a forward player, Moura, as we all know, but did really good defensive work and just ushered the ball out of play, got himself between the ball and Raheem Sterling, and it went behind for a goal kick. But Raheem Sterling's made a bright start to this game. He's not been in the best of form of late. He's just started free of City's previous 10 matches across all competitions prior to this afternoon. Found himself a little bit behind the likes of Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva as well in the pecking order. He's been given his opportunity in the big game today. At the moment, he looks like he wants to seize it. As the ball is with Riyad Mahrez, dropping back into a right-back position to get hold of it. Pulls it to Walker. Back to Mahrez it goes. Goes at the halfway line, but has to come back on himself now into Ruben Diaz. Laporte. Goes down by Lucas Moura. Spurs just shuffling across, not to waste too much energy closing down those City defensive players. Now they're going to have to work, though, because Mahrez is striding forward down the right-hand side. Feeds it through towards Kevin De Bruyne, who we haven't really seen at all so far in this game, and he won't get on the end of that pass from Riyad Mahrez. Goes behind for a goal kick. Yeah, Mahrez has been lively. Foden, Sterling, but not so much De Bruyne so far, feeling his way into the game. Of course, with that ankle injury he's recovered from. Didn't play against Aston Villa during the week. 2-1 Premier League victory for City. In fact, both these sides had 2-1 come from behind victories in the Premier League during the week. Spurs doing so against Southampton. Raheem Sterling now for Manchester City into the penalty area, taking on Aurier once more. Flicks it out to De Bruyne. Spurs want offside. Play goes on. De Bruyne's cross is blocked behind by Højbjerg. It will be a corner. Spurs are still asking for the offside decision, but that won't be coming. They've got more defending to do from the set piece. De Bruyne will come across and take this corner. The last one from the other side from Mahrez caused Hugo Lloris some difficulties. It looks like the way the crowd in the 6-yard box is going to be aimed underneath the France World Cup winning captain once again, although that's not a great delivery from De Bruyne. Easily nudged away with his thigh, I think it was, from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Throwing taken quickly though by De Bruyne. Foden into Sterling. Shot blocked just about on the goal line from Eric Dyer. Brilliant defending. City are not done yet though. Fernandinho pokes it out towards Mahrez on the right hand side. He's looking to take on Reguilon. He's got support from Gundogan and from Kyle Walker. Now Fernandinho back out to Mahrez it goes. Resists the temptation to lift it in with his left foot. Instead goes back towards the halfway line with Diaz. And now Aymeric Laporte. City continue to probe in this first half. They've dominated these opening 14 minutes or so. Ruben Diaz once again into Foden. Fernandinho. 40 yards from goal. Whips it back out to Mahrez on the right-hand side. That generates an applause from the City supporters. Mahrez lifts it towards the far post. Oh, Sterling and Cancelo end up going for the same ball and it goes out for a goal kick. Apology from Sterling saying he couldn't quite hear, maybe because of the supporters in the ground there. Looking back at that chance for Raheem Sterling from a minute or so ago though. Cut back from Foden on the byline is brilliant. Sterling takes a touch. He's 7 yards out right in the centre and he's angling it towards the corner. It's a good hit with his left foot. But Eric Dyer makes himself big. Almost a long barrier in cricket. The approach he takes and he blocks it with almost the outside of his left foot. Really good defending from Dyer. And another nearly moment for Manchester City. Tottenham have a rare period of possession. Still, they've barely ventured into City's half in these opening 15 minutes. And they're pinned back in their own defensive territory at the moment. Dyer looking to bring it out from there and scoops the ball forward. Son will try and gather, but can't really get it under control. Walker's there to intercept. A small quarter of the pitch at Wembley is still in sunshine, incidentally, as well, and it's where City are defending, so we haven't really seen that sun so far. It's quite a good barometer actually to show how Tottenham haven't really been doing any attacking so far in this game. It's all being played in the shade as Phil Foden. That's a brilliant turn to get away from Højbjerg. He's then upended by Sergio Reguilon. The referee incidentally today is Paul Tierney. Brilliant turn though from Foden. It's actually Lo Celso he beats, but then Reguilon comes in with the crude challenge, which if that was happening in the second half, you'd think would almost certainly be a yellow card. But I think Sergio Reguilon's going to get away with that. The one let off, you would suppose. Paul Tierney will have taken note, and it's a free kick on the right-hand side in a promising position. Tierney just letting Riyad Mahrez and Kevin De Bruyne, the two players standing over the ball, know. He doesn't want them to take a quick one and to wait for the whistle. It's not in a shooting position over on the right, almost by the touchline, but in a great crossing position to whip the ball in. Tottenham trying to hold a really high line just in front of the D of the penalty area. Gundogan's made a dart. Mahrez will leave the free kick. De Bruyne will whip it in. It's headed away by Harry Kane back in his own penalty area. Winks now for Tottenham. Lovely touch from Lo Celso. Son on the left-hand side. Can Spurs get something going? Son feels he was fouled by De Bruyne as he played the ball forward, and the referee was just waiting to see if there was an advantage. It was good officiating from Paul Tierney, and he brings it back when there wasn't said advantage. It'll be a free kick to Spurs just inside their own half. Giovanni Lo Celso standing over it. 78% possession City have had so far. 3 shots, none on target though. And surprisingly, Spurs yet to register any kind of shot, not had a touch in City's penalty box as of yet either. City have had 15 of those, incidentally, for those of you who like a good stat. Spurs, though, in possession with Eric Dyer, who's produced that crucial block to deny Raheem Sterling what would have been the opening goal of the contest. Aurier now as well. Back to Højbjerg and Alderweireld. Now he likes a long ball, raking pass from centre of defence, Toby Alderweireld. He thought about it there, instead goes into the feet of Lo Celso, who's a little bit loose with his pass to Reguilon, but the fullback has enough pace to get there ahead of Riyad Mahrez and retain possession for Tottenham. who are trying to feel their way into the game, and it's well worked that time by Lo Celso. Out to Reguilon in space. He can carry over the halfway line, feeds it into Harry Kane. Winks now keeps the ball moving out to Aurier in space, right hand side. Can he deliver across? He can. It's a decent ball, flick clear by Ruben Diaz, and Reguilon on the far side will settle for a corner, and that delivers a rousing reception from the Tottenham supporters. Both sides, incidentally, are attacking the ends of the pitch where their supporters are situated this afternoon. So it's the first time these Spurs fans have really seen any action at their end of the pitch. Alderweireld, Dyer, forward from the back for this corner. What can Heung-min Son deliver? An swinging right-footed delivery from the South Korean. Winks lurking on the edge of the penalty area. If the ball breaks out, it's a good ball in from Son. Steffen comes, punches clear. Harry Kane ended up in a bundle in the 6-yard box. He's back on his feet. Spurs have regathered possession with Winks, who lifts it back towards the corner of the penalty box. Dyer nods it down. Son tees up Alderweireld, who has a hit, and it's a decent strike from Toby Alderweireld. Always travelling wide of the target. Steffen had it covered, but at least it's a shot in anger, and you can say that Spurs have laid a glove on Manchester City. It's taken them 19 and a half minutes to do so. It appears they may have felt their way into this cup final. There's João Cancelo for Manchester City. Into the feet of Ruben Diaz. And of course it goes to Kyle Walker, who carries over the halfway line. Son tracking him stride for stride. Riyad Mahrez will take over for City. Now Fernandinho. To Mahrez it goes. Diaz to Ilkay Gundogan. Like De Bruyne, we haven't seen much of Gundogan so far in the game. Laporte down the channel to Cancelo. Foden closed down by Højbjerg, who was disappointed. He thought he could nick the ball there, the Dane. Diaz now carries it forward for City. Walker down the line to De Bruyne, who's moved out to the right hand side, feeds a good ball into Mahrez. Can't shake off the shackles of Harry Winks, and he then fouls Winks, who's making his first start for Tottenham since they were knocked out of knocked out the Europa League by Dinamo Zagreb back in mid-March. Cast aside somewhat by Jose Mourinho this season, but he came off the bench in Ryan Mason's first game in charge against Southampton during the week. He's been handed a start in the big one this afternoon. It's Eric Dyer. Back towards Lloris. Alderweireld, City pressing Spurs, trying to force a mistake. Aurier keeps it in play, but that could be costly because it's broke to Cancelo, the loose pass. He rolls it to Mahrez, 35 yards from goal. Mahrez squeezes a good ball to Gundogan, now into Sterling, who was in the penalty area, but he comes back out, feeds it to Gundogan. Lovely little 1-2 between Gundogan and De Bruyne. Some dangling legs in there. Gundogan stays on his feet. Alderweireld is just about able to poke it clear, but then there's a clumsy foul by Lo Celso on the edge of the box, coming through the back of Kevin De Bruyne, and that'll be a free kick for Manchester City in a very dangerous position, just left of centre, 23 yards out. I mean, it's poor from Lo Celso. He puts two hands into the back of De Bruyne, which may be enough in itself to constitute a foul, but then he kicks through the Belgian as well. And you imagine Kevin De Bruyne has got to be one of the front runners to take this free kick. Gundogan and Mahrez are options as well. With it being left of centre, it would suit the right footer, which would maybe rule Mahrez out, and Gundogan's now walked away from it. So you've got to suspect that this will be Kevin De Bruyne striking towards goal. He and City will be hoping he can open the scoring in this big cup final. Mahrez in discussions. Hugo Lloris looking very wary on his goal line there, trying to organise his wall. Of course, the bluff would be that it is Mahrez who hits it from the left side. A big enough Spurs wall. There's 6 of them there, with Lo Celso crouched in behind. And then there's a 3-man City wall in front of that, whilst Sterling and Winks are kind of marking each other next to the 2 walls. So it's a very congested area of the pitch. Don't know how Hugo Lloris is going to be able to see the ball if it does go over the top of these walls. As De Bruyne steps up, strikes it, and Harry Kane on the edge of that 6-man Spurs wall is able to get a good block in. Reguilon will settle for the throw-in on the far side. Spurs survive. still goalless between Manchester City and Tottenham. It remains City on the front foot though, and they've come really close to opening the scoring. Phil Foden with a cutback from the left-hand side after a quick throw from Kevin De Bruyne. He found Raheem Sterling 7 yards out. Sterling takes a touch. He thinks he's scoring when he hits it left-footed. It looks to be arrowing towards the corner, but there's a great block on the line from Eric Dyer, who gets his left boot to the ball and is able to clear. City have had a free kick from De Bruyne as well that's just struck the top of the Tottenham wall. At the other end, Spurs have at least managed a shot now. It's not one that's really ever going to trouble Zach Steffen in the City goal. Toby Alderweireld's effort flew just wide of the target. It's still 0-0. It's still goalless between Manchester City and Tottenham. City looking to come forward again down their left-hand side. Sterling pulls it back to Cancelo. Laporte then gets his feet in a tangle, and in steps Lucas Moura, and Laporte, in trying to atone for that error, has fouled his man. Tottenham want a yellow card for the centre-back. Tierney's again erring on the side of leniency and explaining his decision to Harry Kane. I mean, the argument is that Lucas Moura would have been away and breaking into City territory, and like I think Paul Tierney's even pointed to the area of the pitch where where Lo Celso committed the foul a few minutes ago, and saying, I let that one go, so I'm also going to let this one. And that's fair enough if it's consistency across the board. I don't mind that. But again, you would probably find if that was the second half that Paul Tierney would have been going to his pocket and issuing a yellow card. Laporte gets away with it, and it is just a freak. Oh no, in fact he has now been booked, it would seem. Can't imagine Tottenham were complaining about a red card there. It appears Paul Tierney has brandished a yellow card. That's what's flashed up on my screen. City have won the ball back now, and it's across the box from De Bruyne. Foden hits it towards goal, and it's a great reaction save from Hugo Lloris to turn it behind for a corner. I think that shot may have taken a deflection as well to make it an even more difficult save. Eric Dyer gave the ball away. Riyad Mahrez released De Bruyne down the right-hand side. Alderweireld intercepted the initial cross. It fell to Foden 6 yards out, and in fact it's Alderweireld who gets a block in and diverts it off the outside of the post and behind for a corner. So it wasn't the goalkeeper, it's the defender who's done brilliantly there. And that keeps Spurs on level terms. Mahrez will whip the resulting corner in. It's headed clear by Harry Kane, who seems to be doing more work in his own penalty area and in City's at this moment in time. As now Son's lost the ball on the right-hand side. De Bruyne breaking down the channel. Reguilon comes across, and that's a lunging challenge from Sergio Reguilon. He's already had one in this game, and surely now he is going to go into the referee's notebook. There's a wry smile on his face. No doubt that Paul Tierney's issued the yellow card on this occasion. Spurs left back is cautioned. It's one of those, he was lunging for the ball. If he wasn't going to win it, I think it was always going to be a yellow card, and he was nowhere near it in truth. Free kick over on that right-hand side then for Manchester City. I had full confirmation, incidentally, that Laporte was booked. I don't think he was. The graphic on my screen came up and said he was yellow carded, but no other reports are showing that, and I certainly didn't see Paul Tierney brandish the yellow card, so we'll keep an eye on that. But Reguilon is definitely booked. He may be the only player on a caution at this moment in time. But free kick to City, over on the right-hand side, just about 5 yards back from the corner flag. Again, it's De Bruyne and Mahrez standing over the ball. Laporte and Diaz have come forward from the back. Fernandinho's an option in the middle as well. De Bruyne it is who sends a low delivery into the box. Lo Celso rather skews his clearance up into the air. Diaz battling with Lucas Moura for the ball, and judges the referee that he was battling a little bit too aggressively there, the City player, and it's a free kick to Tottenham. Guardiola a bit exacerbated on the sideline. There's having a lively conversation with his coaching team. I don't think he feels that Diaz should have been penalised for a foul there. Still muttering away to himself. Guardiola, as Tottenham's free kick is sent long. Laporte clears it back down the line for City. Eventually break the way of Giovanni Lo Celso. Flicks a nice ball forward to Lucas Moura. Højbjerg now shifts it out to the left-hand side. Son up against Kyle Walker. Reguilón getting forward on the overlap. Reguilón now with the ball at his feet. Tries to dig out a cross. It's blocked by Walker and forced kindly to Fernandinho on the edge of the area. With the Tottenham fullback out of position, City are looking to exploit that area of the pitch. De Bruyne to Foden. Now Gundogan. He comes infield. Can he go for a strike? I think he was thinking about it. Instead he pulls it back to Fernandinho, who does shoot towards goal. But that was harmlessly wide of the target and goes behind for a goal kick. Still goalless in the Carabao Cup final between Manchester City and Tottenham, but City have again come close to opening the scoring, capitalising on an Eric Dyer mistake down the Spurs left-hand side. Riyad Mahrez released Kevin De Bruyne. His cross was initially cut out by Toby Alderweireld. It fell though to Phil Foden 6 yards out. He looked like he was going to score, but Alderweireld got back across and put in a crucial block to deflect the ball behind via the outside of the post as well. Incidentally, it's probably as close as we've come to the deadlock being broken, but it remains Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City utterly dominant though that at the moment, as they have been really since the first whistle. Sterling pulls the ball back into Gundogan. Now Fernandinho tries to slide it through towards Foden. It might come to Sterling, who lifts it over the advancing Hugo Lloris and wide of the target, almost in slow motion there. Agonising for Raheem Sterling and Manchester City. There was an element of luck, I think, about how the ball came through to him. Not sure if Fernandinho was looking for Sterling or Foden, but as Lloris came out, Sterling did exactly the right thing, dinked it over Lloris. It's spinning towards the goal, but not quickly enough, and it flies wide of the far post. But another nearly moment for Manchester City in this first half, and Raheem Sterling's been at the centre of really everything good they've done coming forward so far. Spurs can't even keep the possession really at the moment from goal kicks. It's immediately turned over. De Bruyne has crossed into the box. Alderweireld well positioned on the corner of the 6-yard box to head clear. And now Kane can drive forward for Spurs. Diaz comes in. We look like he won the ball with that challenge there. He can't believe the decision's gone against him. I wonder if it's a case of Paul Tierney feels it was an overly aggressive challenge. Both sets of players are in discussions with the referee. Kane, lovely turn to get away from Diaz initially. Diaz definitely wins the ball. For me, it's a good challenge, even in today's game. Gets the ball, doesn't get any of the man. Don't think he's been yellow carded, and he hasn't. But, yeah, I feel that's a little bit harsh on Ruben Diaz. Harry Kane is okay. He went down looking like he was in a lot of pain, actually, but was able to bounce back to his feet pretty quickly. Ryan Mason and Pep Guardiola are now in discussions on the sidelines. Perhaps a disagreement there between the two managers. Vast differences in their experience levels. This Pep Guardiola's 15th major cup final. Ryan Mason just taking charge of a senior match as a manager for the second time in his career. He does have a 100% win ratio after that victory over Southampton on Wednesday. City come forward with Gundogan into Fernandinho, midway inside the Tottenham half. He sweeps out to Walker. Mahrez clips it back over the top. Walker's continued his run, but won't get on the end of that, and can be watched behind by Højbjerg for a goal kick. He'll be wary, Ryan Mason, from what he's seen so far. He'll be happy his side are just about hanging on in there. 0-0. I'm sure if that was offered to Mason at the start of the game at half time, he would take that. He'd probably take that now with 13 minutes still to go until the end of the first half. There's an argument from Spurs' point of view because of the contrasting seasons both they and City have had, and the fact they've come into this cup final as underdogs. Would Spurs take a 0-0 all the way through to extra time and penalties? I'm not sure. I don't think they'd admit that publicly, certainly. Sterling's penalised for a little nudge on the halfway line. Paul Tierney getting quite heavily involved at the moment. It's his first major cup final, referee. So a proud moment for him as well. Alderweireld turns the ball back towards Hugo Lloris. Spurs need to find a way of getting some kind of possession inside City's half. It's not quite sticking up there when it goes to the likes of Kane and Son. Alderweireld tries to fizz it forward. Again, the quality has to be good as well, and that's not a great ball to Lo Celso, who can't control. Foden has it for City, pulls it back towards halfway with Laporte. Now Cancelo down the left-hand side, breaking towards the corner of the penalty area. Dinks it into the box. Højbjerg, though, spotted the danger and is able to head clear, and he's having a pretty important role in there, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Very vocal. Every time the ball goes out of play, he's turning and issuing instructions and words of encouragement to his teammates. He has lost a Carabao Cup final as well before, not for Tottenham, but during his time at Southampton he was involved in that 3-2 defeat to Manchester United back in 2017, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic final, I suppose you could describe it as. Cancelo down the left-hand side, held up by Lucas Moura. Laporte now gets it back off Fernandinho. Flick it back out towards Cancelo, tries to release Foden down the left-hand side. Foden gets hold of it. It's marshalled though by Lo Celso for the time being. Raheem Sterling getting involved. Spurs just trying to keep City at arm's length. They're happy to sacrifice the possession, which you can understand. It's currently 63% in City's favour. As the ball's moved out to João Cancelo. Cancelo will look to switch the ball out to the right hand side. That's a lovely ball from João Cancelo. Finds Mahrez, who's taking on Reguilon. Into the penalty area he goes. Can he dig out a shot across? He goes for the former, and it's just wide of the target. It's brilliant from Mahrez. And he looks to the heavens. I think he felt once he whipped this with his left foot, when it left his boot, he was scoring. He had Reguilon backing off into the penalty area until he got the angle to get his shot away, dropped the shoulder. And it's a brilliant effort, and it is inches wide of finding that far corner. Another nearly moment for the men in sky blue. This has been one of the most dominant first half displays I've seen in the cup final for a long time. But still, it is Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. As it remains like that, Spurs are still very much in this cup final. Average positions up on the screen of all the Manchester City outfield players in the game so far, and they're all pretty much in Tottenham's half, and all the Tottenham players are in their own half for their average positions. Son is just about on the halfway line. Everyone else, including Harry Kane. Harry Kane's average position in this game so far is midway inside his own half. That tells you exactly the way this opening 36 minutes has gone. As Cancelo, again inside Spurs territory, flicks the ball forward. Alderweireld is able to head clear. He's going to have to defend again, the Belgian, and this time he digs it out for a throw-in down the right-hand channel. Gundogan wants to take it quickly. City trying to keep this tempo high, trying to wear Tottenham down. It's a familiar approach from Pep Guardiola's side, an effective one usually. As Cancelo lifts the ball into the box, again Alderweireld battling away in the air. Drops though to Gundogan on the edge of the box. Now Fernandinho sweeps it to Mahrez. Again, another shot away with his left foot, and again, it's not a million miles wide of the target. He's getting his eye in, Riyad Mahrez, and that will be a concern for Tottenham Hotspur. They need to stop Mahrez from finding space on his left foot in and around goal. Manchester City are really hammering on the door now, trying to find an opening goal in this cup final. It is still 0-0. Raheem Sterling's come close for the third time in the half when he was played in behind by Fernandinho on the angle with Lloris coming out. He did everything right, seemingly. Sterling dinked it over the goalkeeper, but it went agonisingly for him, just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez has had a couple of efforts as well in recent minutes. Curlers with his left foot, both times it's flown just wide of the target. Sighters, he would say, for him. Spurs offering nothing for their part going forward. It remains 0-0. Spurs trying to get a little bit of possession now, and Lo Celso finds Aurier on the right hand side. His attempted cross is blocked by João Cancelo, and it will go behind for a throw-in. At least an opportunity for Spurs to keep the ball inside Manchester City territory. To work back towards Winks. Now Højbjerg on the halfway line, closed down by Kevin De Bruyne. Alderweireld now asking for some options again. I don't think there's been that much movement in front of for Spurs. It's probably because they're so deep when they get the ball back. They look up and there's no one up there. It forces them to try and play it short, and that's when we've seen some mistakes as well. So it's a really difficult situation for Spurs so far. That is a long ball forward though from Alderweireld that has found its way to Heung-min Son. He tees up Aurier down the right hand side. Son gets it back, crossing position. It does deflect off the back of Aymeric Laporte's head, and despite the best efforts of João Cancelo there, it will go behind for a Tottenham Hotspur corner. So from nowhere they have got a set piece, Spurs, and an opportunity, a chance perhaps to get their noses in front in this cup final. It hasn't looked likely at all for 99.9% of this first half, but this is a realistic chance with Alderweireld and Dyer working their way forward from the back. Kane, an obvious aerial threat in there as well. When you've had so little of the ball, it's imperative really that these set pieces are accurate, and it's Giovanni Lo Celso standing over this corner, left-footed in swinger on the Spurs right hand side. It's a poor ball into the front post though. De Bruyne is there to head clear. He'll get a second bite of the cherry though, Lo Celso. And he's giving it away there, trying to flick it through the legs of Mahrez, and that's a real waste for Tottenham. City can now break. Foden trying to release Mahrez. An important interception though from Højbjerg, who is having a really good game for Tottenham, it has to be said. Sitting in front of that back four, trying to sweep up the danger. Him and Winks getting through a lot of working there so far. De Bruyne now for City to Fernandinho. Now Laporte moves it down the left hand side for João Cancelo. De Bruyne now lifts it over the top. It's a brilliant ball towards Sterling, who just couldn't quite get there. I think he was anticipating a touch from Eric Dyer, but the weight of the pass from De Bruyne was so perfect. It angled over Dyer's head. Sterling couldn't quite react in time. He was convinced the defender would get a touch. What a ball that was though from Kevin De Bruyne. You say Sterling's probably got to be anticipating that Dyer's going to miss it, but that's so difficult because it was so tantalisingly close to getting there, Dyer. Had Sterling been able to get it under control, you'd have fancied him to make it 1-0. They have been able to actually volley it towards goal first time had he had a better view. We are still awaiting the first effort on target in the match, which is a surprise really, given the strikes that City have had. They've had 9 shots in total, and a lot of those have been really good chances as well. Might get another opportunity now. Sterling down the left hand side, fighting to keep the ball in play, hasn't quite been able to do so. Could be a Spurs throw-in. 0-0 in the 2021 Carabao Cup final between Manchester City and Tottenham at Wembley. Sergio Aurier. The side there from him as we have a slight delay in proceedings. Of course, this is the first time two teams who were involved in the ill-fated European Super League have met since the announcement of it last weekend and subsequent collapse of the breakaway league, the highly controversial one. Daniel Levy in attendance, the Spurs owner today. Not sure if there was any protests at Wembley this afternoon, as we've seen at other grounds up and down the country, particularly at the grounds of the Big Six sides. Fernandinho has the ball for City. Play has resumed after that slight delay before the taking of the throw. Fernandinho's ball forward is picked off by Eric Dyer. Aurier now breaking down the right hand side. Backheels it nicely into the path of Lo Celso, who looks over the top towards Son. Not the most accurate ball from Lo Celso, so would have been better served keeping that moving more methodically out to the left hand side. Walker's able to clear for City. 2.5 minutes of the 45 remain. Walker there just reminding his City teammates just to keep their heads. Yes, they've dominated this first half, but at 0-0 they certainly can't afford any lapses in concentration. Dyer for Tottenham into Alderweireld. De Bruyne closing down his fellow Belgian, forcing him back to Hugo Lloris, who took a little bit of a chance there but is able to clear down the line, but straight out of play for a throw-in, and Pep Guardiola will act as ball boy. He's keen for his side to try and force home the opening goal before the break. It's João Cancelo in the middle of the park. Gets it back off Gundogan. Haven't seen him do that too much actually in this first half, Cancelo. It is a thing he likes to do, come in from a full-back position and play almost as another central midfielder. It's not just what he likes to do, it's what Pep Guardiola likes him to do as well, and he's done it with other full-backs in the past. It's Cancelo works out to De Bruyne. De Bruyne gets it back off Fernandinho and goes infield now to Ruben Diaz. Spurs 25 yards or so inside their own half, keeping their shape, making it very congested and difficult for City to try and find a way through. Cancelo now back in a left-back position, gives it to De Bruyne, can't quite return it to the Portuguese. Lucas Moura makes sure of that, and that's a good run from Lucas Moura, driving forward, brilliant running from the Brazilian. Laporte brings him down again, and he didn't get the yellow card for the last challenge, but Aymeric Laporte is booked now. There's a little bit of confusion earlier on when he fouled Lucas, and we weren't sure if he picked up a yellow card. Well, that definitely confirms it, as he now is cautioned by Paul Tierney. But that was brilliant play from Lucas Moura. Won the ball back himself, carried it, rode a couple of challenges. Eventually he was stopped on halfway by Laporte. Free kick switched out to the left-hand side by Spurs. Reguilón goes down under the challenge from Walker, but the referee's satisfied with that tackle, and Walker can bring it clear. Reguilón has initially stayed down, but he is now quickly back on his feet, getting back into position. We'll have to see the fourth official's board to see how many minutes are added on at the end of this first half for stoppages. It is just one, so not much time for either side to launch one final attack of the half. It's City in possession, as they have been for the majority of this first period. De Bruyne switches it out to Walker. Now Mahrez drifting inside onto his left foot once again, asking for an option. Finds a good ball actually to Cancelo, edge of the area. João Cancelo curls towards goal, and it's another really good effort from Manchester City, but it's a brilliant piece of goalkeeping as well from Hugo Lloris to claw it behind for a corner. I think that's the first effort on target of the game. It might not necessarily have actually been on target, just looking at the replay. Lloris couldn't take any chances though. It was a big save on the France World Cup winner. That means we'll have one more attack of the half from the corner. De Bruyne's ball towards the far post. Diaz knocks it back across goal. Gundogan, Laporte's there as well. Eventually it's walloped clear by Toby Alderweireld, and that is the end of a first half that Manchester City have utterly dominated in every department except the one that matters, because at the half-time break in the 2021 Carabao Cup final, it is still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld that then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Half-time in the Carabao Cup final, it's still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City, though, have dominated the first half. Raheem Sterling has had an effort practically cleared off the line by Eric Dyer. Phil Foden's had another effort blocked by Toby Alderweireld, but then clipped the outside of the post. Sterling's had a third effort that dinked just wide of the target. Riyad Mahrez and João Cancelo have both come close as well. Spurs have barely laid a glove on City in this first half. Toby Alderweireld with their only effort that went wide. Well, it's a very warm welcome back to our independent off-tube studio commentary of the 2021 Carabao Cup final between Manchester City and Tottenham. As you were just hearing, it is goalless heading into this second half, but City completely dominated the first period, having a number of really good opportunities. Didn't force Hugo Lloris into enough saves, though. That's probably what you would say, and would be the gripe probably that Pep Guardiola would have with his side at half-time. But Spurs have a lot of work to do, because if the second half goes the way the first did, you can't imagine they're going to be able to hold on and force what would be extra time. I'm Tom McGarry, and I'll be talking you through the remainder of this afternoon's Cup final. No changes by either manager at the break. City in their sky blue kit going from left to right in this second period. Spurs in their changed green colours going from right to left. And Harry Kane now with an early ball out to Son on the left-hand side for Spurs, and he's into the area. They didn't do that on too many occasions in the first half, Tottenham. Son quickly goes back out of it, though, but Spurs retain possession. Højbjerg to Aurier on the right-hand side. Now Lucas Moura into the feet of Lo Celso, who curls towards goal, and Zach Steffen, who had virtually nothing to do for the entirety of the first half, has been forced into an early save inside the opening 90 seconds of the second. It was a bending, curling effort from the left boot of Giovanni Lo Celso is creeping in. It's a good save from Stefan. Gets down low to his right hand side and gets enough on it to turn it wide. It had Ryan Mason for a split second believing that Tottenham had taken the lead, but good goalkeeping from City's domestic cup goalkeeper. He might be tested again from this corner. Son whips it into the 6-yard box. It's bouncing around. City struggling to get it clear. Eventually Sterling can bring it forward, and there might be a counter-attack on for Manchester City. Sterling over the halfway line, has Foden to his left-hand side, finds his fellow England international. Foden forced to pirouette though. Mahrez, De Bruyne now, right-hand side into the penalty area. He looks to cut on his left boot. It's a brilliant piece of defending there from Lo Celso coming in, and De Bruyne has caught him as the challenge comes in.
To Eric Dyer in there.
Happy actually. De Bruyne immediately tried to apologise. I don't think the first player was particularly accepting in that apology, which is why it got a little bit spicy. Lo Celso did really well though, and De Bruyne has
to his right hand side. Kevin De Bruyne here,
good
heavy touch.
And Celso brave defending as well. That's why, because he was always liable to receive a kick in. He's back on his feet.
Tottenham Hotspur. De Bruyne caught Reggie on
Kevin
here.
De Bruyne.
It's not like him, a heavy touch.
They will resume for free.
It was a heavy touch.
Just when you thought you were going to see that De Bruyne
second half, that first time whip across the face of the goal. He sees the chance open up.
Standing over the free kick for City. Sends it long over the top of Harry Kane. It'll come to Son though on the left-hand side. Spurs need to try and get those two much more involved. Lucas Moura as well. The attacking players just haven't had anything to do in an attacking sense for Tottenham really in this game so far. As Alderweireld's attempted ball out to the right-hand side rather dissected Lucas Moura and Serge Aurier and goes straight out of play for throwing to Manchester City. But signs of encouragement for Tottenham at the start of the second half with that Giovanni Lo Celso strike. At least on the board in that regard in terms of a shot on target. Only their second shot of the match on or off target, incidentally. First one came from Toby Alderweireld, the centre-back in the first half. As Ruben Diaz, the Manchester City central defender, clips it out to Cancelo on the left-hand side. Good chest control. He looks for the early ball over the top towards Sterling, but too much on the attempted through ball. Easily gathered by Hugo Lloris. Now needs to go short. Spurs tended to do that a lot in the first half, and in fact he's changed his mind at the last minute and instead sends a long ball forward, which Diaz will comfortably deal with by nudging back to Zach Steffen. Now Laporte into the feet of Ilkay Gundogan. Foden keeps the ball moving out to the left hand side, finds Cancelo. Gundogan once more. Fernandinho twists inside the centre circle. Finds Walker on the right. This is more like what we saw from City in the first half, but it's pinched back there. Højbjerg gets an important toe in on Fernandinho. Kane now rolls away from Mahrez. Holding up, waiting for support. Finds it in the form of Reguilon down the left-hand side. He goes into Son. Son returns it to the full-back. Picked up a yellow card in the first half. Now Kane. Switching play out to Aurier on the right. It's an accurate ball. Aurier can control. Feeds it into Winks, who drives into a pocket of space. Now Reguilon. This is better from Tottenham Hotspur. Growing in belief perhaps in this cup final. Looking to end a 13-year trophy drought this afternoon, remember. Winks now with the switch out to the right-hand side. Maybe I gave him the kiss of death there because that ball's overhit from Harry Winks. It'll go out of play for a City throw-in. But it does feel in these opening 5 minutes of the second half that perhaps we're going to have a bit more of an even feel, or Spurs are at least going to have a bit more of a go in this second period than they did in the first. That could work against them, of course, though, because we know the qualities that City have, and if they have space to utilise those qualities, then it could prove troublesome for the men in green. As João Cancelo cutting in from the left-hand side for City, finds De Bruyne 30 yards from goal. He clips it back over the top there, De Bruyne, but it's too far ahead of Phil Foden, who on the stretch can't keep the ball in play. Opening exchanges of the second half. It's Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0 still in the Carabao Cup final, but Spurs have shown more attacking intent in these opening few minutes of the second period than they did in the entirety of the first, and they forced a really good save from City's domestic cup goalkeeper Zach Steffen, who had to get down low to his right hand side and save a bouncing shot from Giovanni Lo Celso. The best moment by far Spurs have had in the match. City haven't offered too much going forward as of yet in this second period, perhaps just slightly taken aback by how quickly Spurs have started to the second half, but you imagine normal service will resume in terms of City dominating the ball. For now though, it remains 0-0. City are seeing plenty of the ball now in the middle of the park. Ruben Diaz is the man in possession. Works it across to Laporte, and now Gundogan down the left hand side. City just enjoying being back on the ball, I think, and trying maybe just to suck some of that early second half enthusiasm out of Tottenham Hotspur. Ball now with Mahrez. He's challenged by Højbjerg, and Højbjerg again acting as the rallying caller in this Spurs side, and Spurs can bring it forward with Kane out to the right hand side. Finds Giovanni Lo Celso, who's supported by Harry Kane once again. Kane looking to step in away from João Cancelo, but Cancelo stands up well and puts in a good challenge. Sends it long towards Phil Foden. Foden now waiting for support into Fernandinho. Fernandinho back to Kyle Walker, who can now release Mahrez down the right hand side. Mahrez into the penalty area up against Reguilon, cuts in on his left foot, trying to get a shot away onto his right again, gets a eventual effort towards goal, but it's blocked by Eric Dyer, and the block takes all the sting out of the effort, and it's comfortably saved in the end by Hugo Lloris. But a stretch field at the start of this second half, no doubt. Mahrez, who is probably City's most eye-catching player in the first period, again heavily involved in the play there going forward. Decent strike from Mahrez. Probably would have been troubling Lloris, but Dyer again not for the first time in this game getting a good block, as there's a foul in the middle of the park. Heung-min Son has brought down Fernandinho. Free kick to Manchester City. Hand of apology from Son. Not sure if that was directed towards Fernandinho or the referee actually, but either way, apology was there. City worked the free kick short to Foden. Gundogan keeps it moving out to the left-hand side. Sterling now running into the penalty area. Raheem Sterling, the backing off. Raheem Sterling, Spurs, and in the end Sterling's curling effort is well over the top of the crossbar, but Spurs were very nervous as he made his way into the penalty area with pace. Just couldn't quite wrap his foot around the ball as he would have liked that. That's a good goal-scoring record, Sterling, in previous encounters with Tottenham. But no goals in this game so far. 54.5 minutes have been played. Manchester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Guardiola pacing up and down in his technical area. Just a couple of yards really separating him and Ryan Mason at the moment, as Lloris sends the goal kick long for Spurs. Son beats Fernandinho in the air. The South Korean gets it back off Kane, but he can't quite feed it out to Lucas Moura on the right hand side. João Cancelo makes sure of that. It's worked back now to Zach Steffen. Returns the ball to Cancelo. Gundogan. Slightly deeper role for Ilkay Gundogan today. Not quite playing alongside Fernandinho, but because City aren't going with the two holders, Gundogan's gone in there alongside Fernandinho. Rodri not included in the starting 11 today. He is on the bench. Spurs have a throw-in now, midway inside City's half. Reguilon goes back though towards the halfway line with Winks. Now Alderweireld, closed down by Foden. Takes no chances, goes back to the Lloris, who clips the ball forward towards Kane. Good tussle there between him and Diaz. It's the City man that wins the duel though. Spurs quickly turn over possession again. It's Højbjerg. It's Reguilon, back to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg once again, as I mentioned in the first half. Was part of the Southampton side that lost the 2017 League Cup final to Manchester United. Fernandinho now. He knows about winning these competitions. De Bruyne into Foden, out to the left with Sterling. Overlapping run from Cancelo, who flashes the ball into the 6-yard box, but it's claimed at the front post by Hugo Lloris. Probing stuff once again from Manchester City. We are ticking down towards the hour mark in the contest. No substitutions being used by either manager of yet. That may change in the coming minutes. You don't know which manager who will blink first in that regard. So many options on the bench for either side. Sergio Aguero back amongst the substitutes today for Manchester City, but they've got the likes of Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus, Ferran Torres on there as well. Spurs coming forward. I'll give you some of their substitutes options in a second. In fact, I can do that now as Son pulls the ball back. They've got Bale on the bench, Bergwijn, Sissoko, Lamela. So many attacking options for either side. Much more even second half, though. That's the main point you have to take from the opening 12 minutes of this second period. Lucas Moura returns for Tottenham Hotspur, looking for options. Pulls it back towards Winks. Winks now to Son, who whips it round the corner to Serge Aurier. No look pass from Aurier as he goes down the line back towards Son, but Cancelo is too strong in the challenge for Son. Laporte can complete the clearance towards Foden, who was caught there by Harry Winks as he offloaded the ball. Referee going to play an advantage though, as Foden gingerly gets back to his feet and now gets on the ball once again. Diaz towards Kyle Walker. Carries the ball over halfway. Has the support of De Bruyne. No sign of the ankle injuries giving either De Bruyne or Harry Kane any trouble in this match so far. Because they were both only sidelined for a week as well, I don't think they'll be struggling in terms of match fitness. So shouldn't need to go off. There's Gundogan for City. Gets it back off Phil Foden. Into the feet of Ruben Diaz it goes. He looks to clip the ball over the top. He spotted the run of Mahrez, but so had Reguilon, who heads clear. Son now for Spurs, up towards Kane. Holding it up, but Fernandinho biting back, and he's unlucky there, Fernandinho, because he won the ball. It spun away, landed at the feet of Højbjerg, and then he brings Pierre-Emile Højbjerg down. That's not the unlucky part for Fernandinho, because he's gone into the referee's notebook, and I don't think he can argue about that, but he was unfortunate about how the ball squirmed away from him in the first place after he'd nicked it off Harry Kane. But Fernandinho joins teammate Aymeric Laporte and Spurs' Sergio Reguilon in the referee's notebook. No stranger to yellow cards, of course, the Brazilian. Alderweireld now for Spurs. Press backwards again. It's been a theme. City pressing Spurs hard when Tottenham do get hold of the ball. Dyer. Across to Alderweireld. Serge Aurier. Closed down by, loses possession to Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling into the penalty area. Aurier trying to bite back. Has to be careful. And he was, in fairness to Serge Aurier. They got a toe in. They should nudge the ball, deflect it off Sterling, and then it back into the hands of Hugo Lloris. Spurs last winning a major trophy in 2008, beating Chelsea 2-1 at Wembley that day. Needed extra time to do so. Manchester City, of course, chasing their fourth successive victory in the competition. It'll be their seventh in 9 years as well. So 6 in 8 years, I should say, get my maths right. As Ruben Diaz plays the ball forward to Phil Foden, who clips it out to the left-hand side. Cancelo is high up the pitch and he's beaten Aurier. Cancelo now making his way into the penalty area again. Aurier biting back. He's held him up, but still Cancelo gets a cross in. It's flicked clear by Reguilon. Comes to Mahrez at the far post. Riyad Mahrez back into the penalty area. Gundogan on the stretch gets his head to it, but it lands on the roof of Hugo Lloris' net. We've ticked beyond the hour mark in this contest now. We're bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of the 2021 Carabao Cup final. Still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City completely dominated the first half. It's been a much more even second period so far. That header from Gundogan, the best City have managed to conjure up so far since the restart. Reece prepares to take this goal kick. Sends it long out towards the right-hand side. Flicked on by Kane. Gathered though by Laporte, who tidies up by going back to Zach Steffen. American goalkeeper just lays the ball out to Ruben Diaz. Diaz looking to win his first piece of silverware of City, one of the few that hasn't so far, only joining the club, of course, last summer. Sterling's won plenty. He goes back into Diaz once again. Now Walker on the right-hand side. Checks in field. Fernandinho takes over. Mahrez. Across comes Højbjerg to engage with the Algerian. Fernandinho now out towards Laporte on the left. City moving the ball around. This is what we saw for large periods in the first half. Foden now looking to step away from Lo Celso, who does well. Lo Celso can now bring the ball forward and finds a nice pass to Kane. He's got Højbjerg to his left, Son through the middle. Lucas in support on the right. Reguilon getting forward as well. This is a chance for Spurs. It's into Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Oh, and at the last minute, he chooses the wrong option. He's furious with Reguilon. Kane slid Højbjerg in. The angle was tight for a shot, but he tried to release the overlapping Reguilon. The two are not happy with each other. Reguilon had stopped his run, not expecting the pass, and it was a breakdown in communication. Brilliant break, though, from first Lo Celso and then Kane to set up the chance. Kane's actually on the floor holding his knee at the moment, which will be a concern for Spurs, but when he released Højbjerg, it was been touch and go whether he was onside. I suppose that's a defensive midfielder in an attacking position now. Højbjerg, I know he's having a go at Reguilon for overlapping, and perhaps the shout came and it shouldn't have done, but I think Højbjerg should have taken control of that situation. Wasted opportunity for Spurs. Kane's back on his feet incidentally and seems okay, but now there's a City player down, Cancelo, in a lot of pain. He's been caught by Lucas Moura, who offers a hand of apology. Cancelo looked to be in some distress there as he fell to the floor. Not much in the challenge really from Lucas Moura, just a free kick. Cancelo hobbling back to his feet now. Again, looks like one, despite his initial reaction, that he should be able to run off. It's a blow to the side of that left calf by the looks of it. Now gets a touch of the ball, rolls it down the line to Sterling. Quite a few players from both teams are going through stretches and warm-ups on the sideline. As I mentioned, we're getting to that stage where both Pep Guardiola and Ryan Mason must be considering making a change or two. Fernandinho out to Cancelo, into Gundogan, who reverses it back down the left-hand channel. Foden exchanges passes with Sterling. Gundogan once more, 25 yards from goal, dinks it into the box. It's too high for Mahrez. Bounces through to Hugo Lloris. And Spurs are indeed preparing a double change. Moussa Sissoko and Gareth Bale will be entering the fray imminently. Fresh legs being called upon by Ryan Mason. Bale, who scored proved to be the winning goal for Spurs during the week, or scored one of the goals, I should say, against Southampton. 2-1 victory, lovely curling effort. And on the bench today there was Lucas Moura, who may be one of the candidates to go off, just loses his footing in the middle of the park. Spurs want a free kick, the referee's not interested. Mahrez picks it up on the right hand side for City, will carry it over the halfway line as Tottenham shuffle back into position. Mahrez back to Diaz, into Gundogan inside the centre circle. He sweeps it out to João Cancelo. Now Raheem Sterling tries to squeeze it back in towards the middle of the park. It's won back though. Good play by Aurier to do so. Kane now will look to lift over the top towards Heung-min Son, who's all on his own and being forced wide by Kyle Walker. Does well actually, Son, to hold on to it. Exchanges passes with Højbjerg. Reguilon now back into Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and now Harry Winks. Better retention of the football from Spurs in this second half overall. Winks go between him and Lucas Moura. Winks now trying to clip it over the top, but neither Son or Kane had made the run. Walker will deal with that and lashes the ball clearing out for a throw-in, and that could spell the double substitution for Tottenham Hotspur. Moussa Sissoko and Gareth Bale coming on then. Gareth Bale, it hasn't been the most successful second spell overall for him, back at Tottenham on loan from Real Madrid, and he is going to replace Lucas Moura. Will he be the hero though, Bale, in this cup final. He'll be hoping so. Spurs, those supporters in the ground, will be hoping so as well, as they give Lucas Moura a rousing round of applause and welcome Gareth Bale back into action. That's the first change. And the other one, we'll see Moussa Sissoko replace Giovanni Lo Celso. So double change from Tottenham, then the first alterations by either side of the match. Still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0 in the Carabao Cup final, and it has been a much more even second half than what we saw in the first. Spurs certainly showing a lot more going forward, but for a breakdown in communication between Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Sergio Reguilon, they could have had a really good chance in this second half. But City are still a threat, of course, going forward themselves. A couple of nearly moments. They're not creating an awful lot, it has to be said, Pep Guardiola's side. The one effort where they have come close was a header from İlkay Gündoğan, who was off balance when he made contact with the ball, and it landed on the roof of the net. Spurs have been the first to blink in terms of substitutions. They've just made a double change. Both Gareth Bale and Moussa Sissoko are on. Now that double change made then. Interesting to see if Pep Guardiola reacts by making a change or two of his own. 67.5 minutes, midway through the second half in effect. It is still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. Remember, extra time and penalties is on the table this afternoon. The longer this second half goes on at 0-0, the more likely we are going to need an additional 30 minutes to try and separate these two sides. But teams will be looking for the winner before then. Cancelo switching a lovely ball out from left to right to find Mahrez on the right hand flank for City. He's taking on Reguilon, and he was backpedaling into the penalty area, but Højbjerg came across and helped out, and between the two of them they have diverted it behind for a Manchester City corner. Chance for City to try and open the scoring, break the deadlock in this game. Diaz and Laporte will once again come forward from the back. De Bruyne has gone short though of the corner to Mahrez, and Tottenham might be caught out slightly. De Bruyne now lifts it towards the far post, but by his high standards, that's a poor delivery that drifts out of play for a goal kick. They were switched off there though, Tottenham, from the quick corner. It's a 2-on-1 for City when they took that, and De Bruyne, as I say, probably should have done a lot more with the effort that was lifted into the penalty area. Couldn't quite find a teammate. As the camera, bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary, remember, pans to the supporters in attendance. Remember, 8,000 at the game today, 2,000 each in terms of the respective club supporters, and then 4,000 NHS staff rewarded as well for their hard work over the last 12 months or so with tickets. All the supporters in attendance will be hoping for a goal to come. There's Gündoğan down the left-hand side for Manchester City, into the feet of João Cancelo, switches out to the right-hand flank. It skips off the surface, but Walker controls well. Feeds it into De Bruyne. Whips an early ball into the cross. It's deflected into the air by Eric Dyer. And it goes behind for another corner to Manchester City. We're just enjoying a decent spell. Spurs still settling in perhaps after making that double change with Sissoko and Bale coming on. Foden will stand over this corner. Swinging delivery from Phil Foden deep towards the far post. Diaz heads it into the air, but Højbjerg's there to clear for Spurs. Break back City's way though. Mahrez to De Bruyne. Early first time ball. Brilliant ball. Fernandinho trying to head it across the face of goal. I don't think he was going for goal. He was looking towards Raheem Sterling at the far post. Brilliant. Textbook Kevin De Bruyne. A whip ball from the right hand channel in. And yeah, Fernandinho looking for a teammate. Couldn't find one. Lloris was able to get hold of the ball well. As Højbjerg now for Spurs. Finds Reguilon down the left hand side. Back to the Dane it goes. Very industrious performance from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Balls out to Reguilon, and remember in the first half when only 1% of the play at one stage had been inside Manchester City's defensive third, while in the second half it's completely even in that regard. 64% of the play in the middle of the park, 18% in City's defence and 18% in Spurs as well. So that shows the improvement Ryan Mason's side have made in this second half. Well, justifying really being on level terms in the first half. They couldn't really do that. 0-0 flattering the North Londoners. City coming forward though now. Remember, they're dangerous when the other team commit bodies forward, and Gundogan has found Sterling. Left-hand channel, he'll need some support. Finds it in the form of Gundogan on the volley. Couldn't divert his effort on target. Difficult one as he's running onto it at pace. But good play between those two as Gundogan, who found Sterling down the left-hand flank. He was onside Raheem Sterling when the ball was played. Flicked it back. He had to get it through 3 or 4 defenders. Sterling to find Gundogan, which is why he had to lift it in the air, and that made it a more difficult chance for Gundogan, who couldn't get the execution correct. Lloris sends the goal kick long, flicked on by Højbjerg. Kane gets a touch as well. Bale. Sissoko over the top. Gareth Bale will give chase. Diaz is across though on the cover and does well there to flick it against Gareth Bale, and out of play for a throw in to Manchester City on the left-hand side. Despite the improved play from Spurs in the second half, they've still only had 2 attempts overall. One on target, that strike from Giovanni Lo Celso right at the start of the second period. City have had 15 shots, but only 2 on target. Well, that's where their problems have lay in this match, as Mahrez driving forward. He's got Walker overlapping. Mahrez, though, uses him as a decoy into the space. Riyad Mahrez curls towards goal. That's a shot on target. It's saved by Lloris. Sterling is then, I think, going to settle for the corner. Yes, he is. But that's a good piece of play from Riyad Mahrez. He had a couple of curlers in the first half that went just wide. That one bringing the best out of Lloris. Really good goalkeeping. Possibly you would argue you'd expect him to get a cross, but to get a strong hand and divert it away from the danger was impressive, as Foden whips in the resulting corner. Sissoko and Fernandinho challenge for the ball. Last touch off the City man, so it'll be a goal kick. 16.5 minutes plus stoppage time still to play in the 2021 EFL Cup final. Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. City do have strikers on the bench. Pep Guardiola yet to look to his bench. Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero on there. Of course, City certainly won't want extra time. They've got the first leg of their Champions League semi-final tie with Paris Saint-Germain to come in Paris on Wednesday. And Pep Guardiola's played a very strong squad, his team in this game. You can imagine a lot of the players on show this afternoon will also be involved in Paris. There's Moussa Sissoko for Tottenham. They don't have any European concerns anymore. Not back in action until the 2nd of May when they host Sheffield United in the Premier League. Spurs, although of course still very much involved in the race for the top 4. For City, it was good news for them earlier today. Manchester United drawing away at Leeds 0-0 in the Premier League means they only need 6 more points to clinch the title. The other game in the Premier League earlier finished Wolves 0, Burnley 4. Burnley just about guaranteeing their status as a Premier League club for next season with that emphatic win that included a Chris Wood hat-trick. Later today at 7 o'clock, Aston Villa will kick off against West Bromwich Albion. By then we should know who the 2021 Carabao Cup champions are, but as we enter the final 15 minutes, we're no clearer to knowing. Still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. Cancelo and Gundogan exchanging passes for City on the halfway line. Quick ball from Cancelo now to Mahrez on the right. Walker involved as well. Mahrez will now look to take on Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who a cross holds up Mahrez. Does another good job there. Højbjerg applauds himself as he walks back into position, very pumped up as ever. Spurs have the throw in. Region to send it down the line towards Harry Kane, who flicks it onto Son. Son can't quite control. Gundogan nips in and wins it back for City, who will start again deep inside their own half. Diaz to Cancelo, who looks to switch out towards Raheem Sterling. Just too much on the pass there. Sterling appreciated the intent, but it skipped off the surface. And now to play for a throw-in. Guardiola barking instructions now to his players. As I say, City, you'd imagine, will be the side more desperate to avoid extra time than Tottenham. Ryan Mason will be delighted with the second half showing certainly his side of produce, and the resilience and the work that they've put in overall as well can't be discredited. Eric Dyer for Tottenham. Some really important blocks in the first half. Goes long towards Bale, who wins his flick on. Kane now clips the ball to Son, who will let it run towards Reguilon, who gave him a shout. And Reguilon looking to take on Walker, goes down. Referee not interested. Kyle Walker just stronger there than Sergio Reguilon. Tend to agree with the referee. City now looking to exploit the gap left by the left back. Eventually Walker, though, does put the ball out of play because Reguilon has stayed down and appears to be in a degree of discomfort. Although, judging by his facial expression there as he looks towards Kyle Walker, maybe not too much. Into the latter stages of the second half, still Manchester City 0, Tottenham 0. Are we going to get a winning goal, or are we going to go to extra time in this 2021 Carabao Cup final? City have had a couple of nearly moments over recent minutes, one in particular, Riyad Mahrez with a lovely curling effort from the edge of the box that drew the best from Hugo Lloris. İlkay Gundogan's also had a volley after neat work by Raheem Sterling down the left-hand side that flew just wide of the target. Spurs not creating an awful lot, but as mentioned, in this second half they've been much more in the game than they were in the first. It remains though 0-0. Reguilon, because the trainer has come on, has had to go off to come back on after receiving treatment. So Spurs temporarily down to 10 men as they return the ball to City. Reguilon, I think, is now back on the pitch, and play resumes with City in possession with João Cancelo to Ruben Diaz. Laporte now out to De Bruyne, who finds himself on the left-hand side. Tries to feed it through towards Sterling. Across on the cover is Alderweireld, who puts the challenge in. As we approach the final 10 minutes or so of this cup final, Laporte to Diaz into Kyle Walker's feet. Foden, who's had a much quieter second half than he did in the first, finds Mahrez. Held up by Reguilon. Mahrez will work it back towards Kyle Walker. City will now try going down the left with João Cancelo once again. Probing this from City. This is like they did in the first half. Tottenham deep inside their own half, getting everyone behind the ball. De Bruyne. Ooh, he's just shown too much of that to Sissoko there. A rare lapse from Kevin De Bruyne, and Spurs could look to break. It's Kane inside the centre circle. Perhaps just taking a little bit too long there, Harry Kane. He did have options, particularly Reguilon and Højbjerg to his left-hand side. Eventually he goes up towards Son. City are able to scramble it clear. That's a little bit of a wasted opportunity there, though, for Tottenham on the counter. In fairness, so tired legs might be starting to come in for both sides. You can see Gundogan there actually just stretching rather gingerly his right leg. Seems okay though as he stretches for the ball. City are preparing their first change of the game, incidentally. Trying to see into the distance, I think it's Rodri who's getting readied, standing alongside Pep Guardiola. As Foden turns away from Højbjerg, who can't challenge. It's out to Sterling now for City. Gundogan. Cancelo. Congested over on that left side of the pitch, so Cancelo tries to switch out to Walker. Now Mahrez, first time ball with Fernandinho. Nice link up play between those two. It'll break to Foden. Foden clips it out towards Cancelo once again. Now he can deliver, right footed into the box, headed away by Eric Dyer. Højbjerg nudges it down for Winks, who just helps it forward. Anywhere will do for Spurs, really. Cancelo has it again for City. Sterling to take on Serge Aurier. Little give and go between Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne. Aurier then, has he upended Raheem Sterling? Yes, he has. Aurier's furious. Not sure with the decision or with himself for giving away the foul, but this is a free kick in a very promising position for Manchester City. Over on the left-hand side. They couldn't capitalise on a lot of these in the first half. They haven't really had many in the second. It's a rare chance from a set piece. Still Rodri waits on the side. He's not going to be introduced for this set piece, even though he has got plenty of aerial threat. He scored the winning goal, actually, or what proved to be the winning goal in last year's Carabao Cup final against Aston Villa, which finished 2-1. Rodri's goal had put City 2-0 up as De Bruyne whips the ball into the box. It's headed home, and Aymeric Laporte has put Manchester City in front inside the final 10 minutes at Wembley. A simple free kick whipped in by De Bruyne. Laporte attacked it well, and he buries the header into the corner of the net. And Manchester City, on the balance of play, you probably can't argue they deserve to be in front. Well, it's taken over 80 minutes of football, but Manchester City lead Tottenham by 1-0 now in the Carabao Cup final, and it's an unlikely goal scorer, Aymeric Laporte, the central defender, who has put them in front. Kevin De Bruyne with a free kick over on the left-hand side, deliciously whipped into the 6-yard box, and Laporte attacked the ball really well. He got in front of his marker, Moussa Sissoko, and buried his header into the corner of the net. It went into the side netting. That's how accurate it was from Laporte. And City now, on the balance of play, you would say they deserve to be in front, and more importantly for them, they don't have too long to hold out. It's Manchester City 1, Tottenham 0. Aymeric Laporte, the joy in his face as he headed home. He's had a lot of injury problems, hasn't he, over the course of his City career. Found himself behind John Stones and Ruben Diaz in the pecking order at the Etihad Stadium quite a bit this season, certainly over the second half of the campaign. But called upon today with Stones suspended and really stepping up to the plate as City are now within touching distance of winning a 4th consecutive Carabao Cup and equaling the record held by Liverpool for 8 victories in the competition overall, as it's going to be Fernandinho replaced by Rodri. Fresh legs in the middle of the park, and Dele Alli is going to come on for Spurs now. Højbjerg replaced. He's gone through a lot of work, but a more defensive-minded midfielder he is, and Ali will offer a creative and attacking threat. But will he have time to have an influence on the game? Spurs, who've been sitting back for the majority, now have to change things up. Ryan Mason, stony-faced on the side, little shake of the head there. He knows how close his side were to at least forcing extra time. Now it's going to be a real effort to get themselves back into this. Spurs supporters who are there not looking happy, as you can imagine. They do still have time, if stoppage time incorporated, there's probably still 10 minutes to go. It's going to be difficult for Spurs, particularly how good City have been defensively this season and how good they are on the counter-attack as well. It really is an uphill task for Tottenham Hotspur. But at 1-0 they are still very much in the game as Reguilon heads clear, but it drops to De Bruyne. De Bruyne into the penalty area, he could seal it for City. Kevin De Bruyne, good block from Dyer. Comes to Sterling, edge of the box, tries to tee up Mahrez. Reguilon's there to intercept, and the fullback can clip the ball clear. Game on a knife edge really now, it probably will be for the rest of the piece. City will get chances. Spurs have to take those risks as De Bruyne pinches the ball back off Sissoko. Gundogan now looking to release Raheem Sterling. Has he got the legs to get away from Dyer? He's waiting for support. Sterling tries to get a shot away. It's blocked by a combination of Dyer and Alderweireld. Aurier now gave away the free kick that led to the goal. He was so frustrated when he did so. Sissoko's switch looking towards Son, intercepted by Walker. A break though to Reguilon on the halfway line for Spurs. Now Dyer. Looks like City are preparing another substitution, incidentally. Guardiola keen to get maybe Bernardo Silva on. There's Alderweireld for Spurs. Clips it out towards Aurier. Ooh, he's beaten Cancelo, who oversold himself there. Aurier, can he deliver a cross? It's headed away by Laporte. It'll break to Bale on the edge of the box. He tees up Son. Reguilon overlapping. Son uses the fullback to the byline. He's stretching to try and keep it in play. And his cross was easily cleared away by Ruben Diaz, but it will be a throw-in to Spurs. It is indeed Bernardo Silva who is being readied to come on, and he will enter the fray now. And Kevin De Bruyne is going to be replaced. The skipper on his return from an ankle injury has lasted 86 minutes. Hands over the captain's armband to Raheem Sterling. Bernardo Silva, who is really, really impressive against Aston Villa during the week, is going to come on to replace the Belgian. Not his finest game by any manner of means, because he has such high standards, De Bruyne. But he's still been influential, and as it stands, his assist has led to the winning goal as Bernardo Silva comes on. 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time to play. Manchester City 1, Tottenham 0. Spurs do have this throw-in high up the pitch. Reguilon, though, has gone all the way back to Winks. Now Dyer, and in fact, from a throw-in just about level with the City penalty area, Spurs have gone all the way back to their goalkeeper Hugo Lloris. Alderweireld now to Aurier, and it's gone out of play, and that's frustration for Spurs. Can they raise it? Can they lift things to try and create that opportunity? They've only had one real decent strike all game. They need at least that and probably more in these remaining minutes if they are to get themselves back on level terms. As Ruben Diaz clips the ball forward for Manchester City. It's a bit aimless though from him. Aurier will gather. Goes back to Lloris. Lifts the ball up towards Gareth Bale. Bale flicks on well. He's an aerial threat up there now, Gareth Bale. Been very much on the periphery since coming on though. It's been difficult for him to get involved. Sterling and Aurier jostling for the ball there. It'll be a corner. Sterling was just too strong for Serge Aurier. I wondered for a second, because Aurier ended up on the floor, whether the referee would give a free kick, but he hasn't, and it is a corner kick to Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, who's only ever lost one cup final in his managerial career, and that was a decade ago whilst at Barcelona. It looks like that run is going to continue. Those supporters in attendance at Wembley, they look like they're believing. Foden whips the corner in. They're going short, City. They're going for a second goal. It's Laporte with another header. It's not too far wide of the target. He's quickly trying to distribute the goal kick forward, but Diaz, who did stay back actually for that corner, is there to head away from Son. Picked up by Gundogan. Bernardo Silva, he's got Mahrez to his right. First chance for the Portuguese to run with the ball. He finds Riyad Mahrez, who returns it to Bernardo Silva. He's at the byline. Tries to pull it back. Dyer is well placed out. Dyer's had a good game at the back for Tottenham. Heads clear. Mahrez now back to Rodri. Bernardo Silva once more. Mahrez will clip it infield. Gundogan, composed layoff, and City just keeping Spurs at arm's length once again. We're into the final minute of the 90. Aymeric Laporte's header inside these final 10 minutes. Looks like it could be winning Manchester City a fourth successive Carabao Cup final. 8th overall, as I say, they've joined Liverpool as the most successful club in the competition's history. Before 2014, they'd only won won two before. This will be 6 in 8 years for Pep Guardiola's side. One final flow of the dice though from Spurs. Serge Aurier right back off. Attacking winger in Steven Bergwijn coming on, so Ryan Mason is throwing the kitchen sink now at Pep Guardiola. Remember, in these cup competitions domestically, you do get 5 substitutes rather than 3, which it is in the Premier League. Yeah, coronavirus. Here as well, up towards Son. Can Spurs break forward? Bale out towards Sissoko, who's gone to right back since Aurier went off. Feeds it infield to Gareth Bale once again, who tries to keep it moving, but Mahrez has got back and put in an important toe. City have turned over possession. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Cancelo down the line to Sterling, who's running at Alderweireld. He's got Foden in support. City might be sent to the second goal. Sterling twisting into the area, but Alderweireld has again done well. And Lloris will lift the ball clear. Only onto the chest of Kyle Walker. It's proved really, really difficult for Spurs to get any kind of foothold in this game. It's been a really, really dominant performance for Manchester City. 1-0 doesn't really tell the full story, you would probably say. Bernardo Silva Chips infield towards Gundogan, who's then fouled by Musa Sissoko. Stayed down as well, Ilkay Gundogan. And City to run down the clock. Pep Guardiola so animated on the sideline. You think he'd be used to these situations by now, but still very much urging his players on. Mason pensive, perhaps resigned to Tottenham's fate now. He'll be pleased though with the improved second half performance his side showed, certainly from an attacking point of view. Bernardo Silva can't quite link up with Rodri. Son wins it back. Needs to get it forward. Spurs. Ali launched up by Reguilon. Diaz heads clear. Bernardo Silva brings it down. Rodri. Infield it goes to the match winner as it stands, Aymeric Laporte. The unlikely match winner. Cancelo now up to Phil Foden. Is he going to go to the corner? Being held up by Dyer, just retains possession between him and Sterling. Now Cancelo over the top to Foden. Was he offside? He probably was. As he flashes it into the 6-yard box, and Mahrez turns the ball into the back of the net. And I think the offside flag has now been raised. As they do these days, they got to wait and let the move play out before the assistant raises his flag, just in case he's not offside. Did look a couple of yards off Foden, indeed, yeah. Straightforward offside call. VAR will have had a look as the free kick is sent long, but that is it. And Manchester City, for the 4th successive year, are the Carabao Cup champions. They've beaten Tottenham by a goal to nil. Aymeric Laporte's late header, the difference between the two sides in the scoreline. In truth, there was a gulfing class between the two.